everybody. Hey, Roster. I see you. What's going on? And for anybody else who's out there who's catching this or whatever, hope everybody's doing well today. And if you're in the United States, I hope you're getting ready for Memorial Day weekend. Hey, Wit, what's going on? Let me know if this is coming in okay, y'all. Like, before I had some connection error issues on Restream. It's kind of weird. And uncompetitive. Wait, hey, what's going on, uncompetitive? Uncompetitive. I would love your thoughts on Hellblade. I know you're really excited about Starfield, so I'm curious what you think of Hellblade. Hey, Internet of Games. Hey, Ambi. And shout out to Neil, y'all. Like, Neil's streaming Kena Bridge of Spirits. I just saw that. And so y'all know that's like, I really, really like that game. So Neil, if you're catching this, let us know when you're streaming so I can catch you, even if I'm at work. Tomorrow, y'all, I should be around. So Internet of Games, if you're streaming, let me know. Roster, I think you stream on Saturday, so I'll try to catch you then. But yeah, tomorrow I should be around, and Monday I should be around. So hopefully all goes well. So lurking for a bit. No worries, Roster. No worries. You know, we always lurk in work and lurk in dinner. And Simpleton, how's it going? So y'all know how this is gonna go. I got some trailers. Really excited about a certain thing that launched this week. If you've been following my Twitter, you already know what that is. But yeah, really excited about that. I do want to talk about, everybody's talking about Hellblade 2. I do want to get y'all's opinion on it, because I think I have a mixed bag for me. And I think some of y'all have already played it and have beat it, so I would love to get y'all's opinion on it. Obviously, people say, like, play what makes you happy. I don't know, maybe I'm missing something with the game, but I do want to talk to you all about that. And there's a woman who looks like a little like you in Hellblade 2. What? Internet? Like me? Who? Where? I played a little bit of the game. So, like, where? That's crazy. Like, me? No one looks like me. Hey, Holtz, how's it going? Just talking a little bit about Hellblade, and talking about everybody's week. What are y'all playing? What are you watching? But yeah, and I wanted to show y'all some trailers that are coming out. And the reason I show trailers, like, someone asked me this, and the reason I show trailers, it's because it's stuff that's come across my my viewing that I don't see anybody else talking about the game. And so if it's something interesting, so y'all know, like horror, Metrovania, hack and slash, RPG, something really artsy and beautiful, like, I'm gonna show like what I'm looking at, in case that you may also find that really interesting. You're only on right-wing media outlets for photo share. Oh my goodness. Am I? Internet, okay, it's crazy. But give me another one. Give me another media. I didn't even know there's media sharing outlets. I try to only work on YouTube most of the time. I only post on Twitter when I want to be like, who was it? Cloudy V from the Stadia days, if y'all remember him. Like, Cloudy, he has two personas. He has like Cloudy V, who's like, cloud validation, super like cool dude, very knowledgeable, very passionate gamer, very much about the community. So shout out Cloudy V if you're out there. We still remember you as that person. Well, that's Cloudy V. But he also has another persona called Monkey Boy. And when he comes in as Monkey Boy, it is like pure trolling, right? Like, he makes no doubts about it. Like, he's trying to troll when he comes in as Monkey Boy. And so I feel like my Twitter, it's like when I'm trying to be a little bit more, what did you say, Wit, last week? A little bit more spicy? Like, yeah, that's what I do on Twitter. But I don't usually use Twitter. Like, unless you want to message me. Like, so Holtz, I think that's how Holtz and I talk. I've been catching up on Supernatural. Has been on my backlog as I'm up to date with a lot of things, but I'm waiting for House of Dragons Season 2. How is House of Dragons? Like, I am not a fan of how Game of Thrones ended. Like I started saying that like after season 4, Game of Thrones was not in, and people are like, well, that's how the book went. Purple. Okay, then the book sucked after that book. Like I don't know what to tell you. Hey, Lo-Fi, what's going on? Guys who decides you. Oh, that would be like, yeah, you do have a twin, but y'all are different people. So you knew which one I meant. Like, I knew internet games is only one. It's only one. I only have one. So I'm not really good at social media. Like, and Lo-Fi's in the house. What's going on? Playa, what's happening? Hey, Geek, I want to talk to you about Hellblade 2 here in a second because you had some words. So you were playing it while I was tweeting. But shout out to Lo-Fi Monk because Lo-Fi's like when we first started, Lo-Fi's like, Perp, you gotta get on Twitter, you gotta get on Discord. I was like, what is that? And so Lo-Fi, shout out to him, just like totally like set me straight, if you want to call it setting me straight. But yeah, he I guess I don't really use Discord at all. It's too confusing. Like YouTube's easy, and that's starting to piss me off too. So we'll see. But with that, I do want to show you all some trailers, right? Like I want to show you all, getting this party started, and then talking about some games, right? Like I do want to dive deep, not into like the story of Hellblade or anything, but what I believe is happening over there with that company. From a business side, just from my experience of working with games, from my experience working with big tech, and my experience of working with like mergers and acquisitions and what happens after that. And yeah, so I do want to talk about that. But before we get into that, coming from the one, the only Rouster. So Rouster sent me this. So if you're a Metrovania fan, Rouster, you already know which one this is. But if you're a Metrovania fan, this one came up, popped on my radar. Rouster sent it out. If y'all really like it, we may do a game giveaway for it. But yeah, I want to talk about it after I show you the trailer. So here we go. That's Animal Well. It's not just on PlayStation. It's just that PlayStation has the simplest trailers. Like, I like the short and sweet, pithy, I think is the word I like to use. I like those pithy trailers, and PlayStation just has the pithy trailers. So that's Animal Well. So shout out to Rouster. He's the one who like put me onto that. Hey, Ronin Storm, what's going on? Yes, it has. We're just talking to some games, and that was Animal Well. So for y'all, it's a Metrovania, and you're like, Purple, it's pixelated, blah, blah, blah. It actually is getting pretty solid reviews. Like, the puzzling in that game is pretty solid. Obviously, it's pixelated. Obviously, it's a small team. But they're saying it's pretty solid game. So if you're into Metrovania, so I think that's you, Simpleton. You are into Metrovanias as well. You may want to check that one out. They say it is like a true Metrovania. Like you just continue to dig. It's like you really have to find your way out of it. It does not give you a lot of instructions. You're just like kind of figuring out what's going on, and it's like a very addicting game loop that like builds upon itself and builds upon itself and builds upon itself. So yeah, that was the game. Joe, what is going on? Joe, what we got to get an update on the game. Gotta get an update. Let us know. I know y'all remember Joe's building the game. Should be out here pretty soon in the fall. So we'd love to get that. Hey, Fast, what's going on? I know Fast is not, it's not Fall Guys, but Fast, come Sunday. I need you on Sunday in Fall Guys because we're gonna do the tournament Sunday. Yeah, so Holt, you're like in Metrovanias. Yeah, if y'all are into Metrovanias, go ahead and play that one. I'm on my second playthrough of Hellblade 2. Has a different voice. It does, Sanchez. So I'm glad Sanchez is here because y'all know Sanchez loves his Xbox IP. So I love to get that feedback. But I know some other people who have different opinions in chat. Sunday got you. Thank you, Fast. I just need you. I need you. I need you to spice it up. We need some competition over there. Um, so then I expected, hey David Wilson, what's going on? Yeah, is it getting some hate? We're gonna talk about it. Like I don't know if hate's the right word I would use with Hellblade 2. I think it's getting some legit criticism, but if you play it the first time you get it, I think it's getting some legit hype that we haven't seen before from a gameplay perspective. And then I think there is some like general confusion. I think I'm in the middle. I think I'm like in that but we'll talk about it. Grinding the background got some Steam hurdles to get. Oh, no worries, Joe. We got you. Just let us know, and we will definitely be purchasing the game. Crow, what's going on? You have to play Record of Lotus Ward. What? Geek, I gotta show this. I'll show this trailer next time. So yeah, so that was Animal Well. You know, I said I was going to be showing a couple of trailers. I'm going to show one more trailer, and then we're going to come back to some more Hellblade talk and some other talk. Some other games that came out. No one's talking about the game I'm super excited about that got launched this week, but I'm going to talk about it. So with that, here's another game that launched last Game Awards, and no one's talking about it, but it's supposed to launch in 2024. Again, that's what I do. I try to bring the attention to some of the other games, and if you know me, I like Metroidvanias, I like horror, I like hack and slash, and I like puzzles. This next one follows one of those categories to the T. All right, here we go.
Lift your head. Now open your eyes, slowly. Take a breath and look around you. Fate always tests us. You have to fight until the end. I'll find you.
First Descendants. Okay, so I know I said puzzles, hack and slash, Metroidvanias, and RPGs. I meant to say cover shooters in that as well. Co-op cover shooters. I meant to put that in there. Y'all know I gotta give my Outriders and my other games like that something. But yeah, that's First Descendants. So if you know anything, if you start getting some Death Stranding vibes, with Warframe vibes, with Helldivers 2 vibes, with Arc Raiders. Where's Arc Raiders, by the way? Arc Raider. Yeah, it looks like it's that, you know. All the games I just mentioned look like games I would like, except for, what was the first one I said? I forget. But yeah, it looks cool, right? It looks like an interesting story. It looks like you're like co-oping, you're beating these things. Like there's some lore in there. Death Stranding, that's the one. I don't care for Death Stranding, but other ones I mentioned, I do care for it. Yeah, it looks like it's got some cool stuff going on. Engine used in Death Stranding, does it uncompetitive? That's what I say. Like it looks like it has a Death Stranding Warframe. Shout to Squids, was grinding Warframe there for a second. You played? Ooh, Internet of Games played it. What do you think? Was this the beta or the alpha? Oh, gotta do that. So yeah, so that's that one. No one's talking about it. You know, I'm gonna give it some love, just because I think the game is better than all those titles you mentioned. Really, Geek? Really? You think this one's better than that? Or Death Stranding? Well, I haven't played Arc Raiders. Yeah, Well, so we got Internet Games talking Arc Raiders. I don't know. Yeah, I just think it's got to do with publishers. I think there's narratives. You know, when you're a smaller studio, you're trying to do stuff like you're not gonna get that push. You're not gonna get that that excitement. But I mean, again, not everybody's a cover shooter type. Not everybody's a co-op shooter type. I understand my gaming interests are niche, but I have several niches. So, you know, that's what I do. Hey, Shadai, what's going on? Hey, congrats, Shadai, on Remnant 2. If y'all did not know, Shadai has gotten all the achievements in Remnant 2. Hey, that is an achievement. That's legit. So shout out to Shadai for doing that. Probably the #1 gamer on my Xbox. Like, seriously, him and Estadia, both of those guys are like always up here. Roster's up there too. So yeah, so that's that. Now we're starting to get into like, we haven't had too many horrors recently, but I do want to throw a couple of these out there, because we have a couple of them, you know. So with the first one, here we go. Now this one, like, legitimately, yeah, I don't know. I'll just play it. How about that?
In the stricken land of Aya, a terrible darkness stirs. The second advent of the great corruptors has begun. The 5 factions have fallen, and a new order of dreadful acolytes reign. A perilous path lies before you, Shriver. One of desolation, of suffering, of bloodshed. Adhere to your sacred duty once more. Slay the acolytes, the lords of Aya, and rend their flesh for all our sake.
Oh my god. Okay, so y'all, I said hack and slash. Obviously, I had to get a hack and slash in there. I missed. I clicked the wrong one. That's my bad. But that is a hack and slash. Morbid. You know, it looks pretty cool to me. It kind of has a Darksiders vibe to it. You know, like, so. I'm definitely gonna be probably playing Morbid Lords of Ire. I don't know how to say it, but we haven't had a really solid hack and slash in a second. And if y'all dare say Hellblade 2's hack and slash, do not do that. But yeah, that's Lords of Morbid, Lords of Ire. Another game just came across, you know, I was like, yo, no one's talking about this. Let me show it. You know, it's coming out this year, so I'm excited about that. And Chad, I saw you're missing one. I don't even know which one that is. Considering, like, what is it? Like, probably a death run, like a one hit run, because that would be really hard to do. That would be really hard to do in that game. But yeah, Shadow, you're still like champion in my book. And then we saw. Internet Games. We're gonna pull it up. I'm gonna pull it up. Not now. Maybe I will. Y'all, what is it? What is he talking about? Let's go figure it out. So we're gonna go to Internet Games page. What? Okay. I'll show that in a second. I don't know. A hack and slash. Yeah, no, I was talking about Morbid. You were talking about Morbid. Part 2. Really? All right. Was part 1 good? I had never heard of it. No one's talking about it. I never heard. That was so scary. I could only play that on Switch, so I couldn't probably see what was going on. Hey, that wasn't even the scary one. Here's the scary one. But I had to throw the hack and slash. I love it. Look, I am looking for a Darksiders 4. I want that game bad. But here we go. Here goes. All right. Here goes some of the other ones. All right. Here we go. Which one am I gonna give you? I think it's this one. There's two, but here's another one.
Where are you? Okay, this fucking time, I won't let anyone escape.
Are you friendly? Where are you?
Supernatural. All right, so that one's the one that kind of creeped me out. Like, I could see. So we're gonna talk about Hellblade. I promise we're gonna talk about Hellblade. But that one kind of creeps me out. Like, I probably will not be playing that on stream. It's just there's something about first person and darkness and weird sounds. But yeah, I think horror games can have their moment coming back. Like, have horror games ever had their moment? Maybe back in PS2 era. Everybody always says that. Back in the PS2 era. So maybe back we can have like a renaissance of horror games, which I get some of y'all are like, Purple, I'm not playing that. Totally hear you on it. But I really think the horror genre, as far as like movies and so forth, could really benefit from like what they did in Hellblade too. Could you imagine that? Like, that'd be like pretty creepy. So, and we're gonna talk about that in a second. Like, right? Is it a success or is it a failure? But I do want to talk about it. Hey, Rudix, what's going on? Rudix, I was with Nads 2 days ago for about an hour. So yeah, well, not I was on his channel for like 2 hours. Okay, it's not hack and slash, Sanchez. Not hack and slash. Now, horror needs something new. Well, I think it could be something. Like I said, we're gonna talk about it. I got one more. I think I got one more trailer. Oh, we got a couple more trailers, but I think now's a good time to kind of like maybe. Yeah, y'all done Chronos. Yes, it's part of that Remnant series. But it's not like Remnant. Like I said, Cronus is different than, it's weird. But they are all about the same, like crystal or rock or whatever the thing's called. But yeah, let's talk about Hellblade 2. All right, so here's my opinion about Hellblade 2. I started playing Hellblade 2. Okay, I took a second. I actually booted it up on GFN because I didn't want to download it. And so I got it on GFN, to my Game Pass, started playing it. Yeah, I don't know. It was a little hey, Dutchman, what's going on? You haven't tried it yet. Dutchman, well, we're not going to do any spoilers. No spoilers here, just like my own experience with it. What I would say is, for the first 20 minutes, like 30 minutes of it, felt like 40 minutes. And it wasn't like a bad 40, but it felt long. It felt kind of tedious. And I wasn't like a really big, like, okay, so y'all know how I felt about Hellblade 1. Hellblade 1, I thought it was pretty interesting because they brought in an element of mental health, and people don't actually know when a lot of people just talk about mental health and they're like, because it's like the cliched thing to say, it's like the safe thing to say. Let me put it very clearly what I mean by mental health in this game. It deals with psychosis. All right, It deals with voices in your head. So people are always like, oh yeah, it deals with mental health. No, like, it deals with like schizophrenia. All right. And schizophrenia is something, and there's a lot of different ways, like where people hear voices, and psychosis is actually part of several different diagnoses. You're right, it could be schizophrenia, it could be bipolar, it could be schizoaffective disorder, it could be a ton of things. And so I thought that was very special just because I'm from the military. We deal a lot with mental health in the military, supporting veterans, supporting active duty service members with huge mental health push. So I thought that was pretty good that they built a game kind of around that. Psychosis is obviously probably I'm not even going to say a severe. It could be, but it is something that a lot of people deal with. So, and I'll leave it with that. So that's what I thought was cool. I thought the story was interesting. I thought the story kind of like dragged me along. And I mean that just because I was never really a big fan of the first game's gameplay, but it kind of like pulled me along because I wanted to see what was going to happen. Like, I was really interested in that. You know, it's her lover, it's that. I told you I was never really a big fan of those puzzles. The puzzles in Hellblade remind me of the puzzles in Roster. You may get this in Biomutant. Like, if y'all don't remember, Biomutant's like the Ghost of Tsushima, but with rodents, bio-rodents. That's what I think of that game as. Anyway, that's Biomutant. And Biomutant has these puzzles, but it's like, why did you even put this here? Like, it's not like a puzzle. And so yeah, it was like, but it was cool, right? I played it on Switch, I went through it, and got through it. So Hellblade 2, let's jump. I guess I played that back in 2018. It had to be 2018. Maybe in 2019, but it definitely was before the pandemic. So let's jump forward 5-6 years. Hellblade 2. Hellblade 2, and I said this with Lo-Fi on when we did the Game Awards. With Lo-Fi, I said, like, yo, the game plays. The movement. In Hellblade 1, I did not like the movement. It was too, like, what I call blocky. Like, it was too, like, it wasn't freedom of movement. And so I saw that. What did I experience in Hellblade 2? I experienced kind of what I experienced in Hellblade 1, but slow it down. And that's what I experienced. So that was kind of a moment for me. However, that's what I'll say. I was watching Nads play the game. So y'all know Nads from Cloud and Console, Rudig's, streaming partner there, Canadian. And I was actually enjoying myself more than actually playing it. And I had to think about that for a second. Why was I watching Nads? Why was I enjoying it more than playing it? Like, very rarely do I enjoy a game watching more than playing. Unless it's like a genre I don't play. Like a Call of Duty, I don't enjoy playing that. That's another one where I will watch someone play it, or any type of shooter like that. But this one, that's what I started to feel like. And so what I wanted to go back into the game was because there's only so much you can get from YouTube, right? So I wanted to go back to kind of like see certain elements or hear certain sound stages, because what you're hearing from streaming is different than what and y'all have heard me talk about this from like a sound perspective, like a visual perspective. Like YouTube has to basically encode the data, and you get it. So you get like kind of this piecemeal what the original data was, and that's for bandwidth reasons. Same thing when you're watching a game. So that's actually why I wanted to go back into the game, but it wasn't to play. So why do I mention all this, right? Like, if you like the game, Sanchez, I know you like it. You're gonna like it. If you like the first one, you're gonna like it. If you didn't like the first one, you're not gonna like this one. Because this one, like, the stuff you probably didn't like in the first one, they double down on it. If you're someone who is about gaming photography, and I cannot remember her name to save my life, y'all. She was part of the Stadia community. She used to do it with Red Dead Redemption 2. and she had I think she had two sons. I cannot remember her name. But she did amazing video game photography. Also, the Russo narrative does amazing video game photography. I believe Rudix did a show with him. What is going on, ISO? Hellblade is fire. I don't know if everybody thinks that it's Xbox. No, I don't know about that, ISO. I don't know about that. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. Like, I'm not gonna say it's fire, but if you're into that type of stuff, you're gonna like it. Like if you're into the visuals and stuff, you're gonna like it. For me, I play games to be fun. And so the day I played Hellblade, when it launched Tuesday, I kind of joked around that I wasn't going to take that long. But in all seriousness, I stopped playing because it just was like, there's other things I want to do. One of those other things that I wanted to do, and I had been waiting for 2 months to do it, actually launched the same day as Hellblade 2. And I thought I had the trailer, but I don't have it up. And what that is Prince of Persia's second content drop happened. So about 2 months ago, Prince of Persia, y'all know I'm a huge fan. Prince of Persia is my game of the year right now. Prince of Persia, the first time they dropped some quality of life stuff you could do in the first drop. That was kind of cool. In this drop, what they did is they dropped what they call a boss mode, right? So you can go back and fight every single boss in the game just to fight them. Or you can fight them back to back to back to back as a challenge. And I found myself, like, after an hour and a half of doing this, of getting back into Prince of Persia, I realized, like, yo, that's fun to me. And that's why I don't say, like, you know, Hellblade. Hellblade is kind of cool. Like, I'm not gonna say it's a bad game. Like, I'm not gonna say it's what is a bad game? Whatever that vampire game Xbox came out with last year, I thought that was a bad game. I didn't understand why that was a game. This one isn't that. But I also don't necessarily consider it a game. I think that's the whole thing. And as I sat on the train 2 days in a row, I didn't drive into work, I took the train into work, and I thought about this. Why was it more enjoyable to watch Nads play the game than for me to actually play the game? And it's because my mind automatically kind of wires it to being like a TV show. I'm not even gonna say a movie, a TV show. And then that kind of like leads me to saying, like, it's more like a movie with game elements than a game with movie elements. I am not going to put it on the same category as something I play to entertain myself, that I come back to say, like, yo, that's fun, I want to relax. That's not why I would play Hellblade. And maybe you're like, well, Purple, you shouldn't play games. Or some people don't play it to relax. Some people do some other things. I get that. But to me, that's how I felt. And that's not to take away from it. It's just not my type of game. It's not my type of story. Like, I think, like, once I put it in that category of, like, where it lands on storytelling, yeah, I would go watch something else, right? I would watch another season of Luther or something. Shout out to Luther if y'all are not watching detective stuff. You know, it's actually what I watch a lot of is detective dramas. But that's how I felt. I felt like it didn't do gaming. It wasn't. It's trying to, like, be in the middle of these two genres between, like, moving picture media and video game media, which makes sense, right? If you think about it, Unreal Engine 5 is more about, like this is why they monetized it to movie studios. Like, it's more of a movie tool than a video game tool. And that may sound crazy to people, but that's the truth. That's why they're charging studios and not gaming studios. And so it makes sense why it is the way it is, in my opinion. It's an indie experience on a gameplay level, but graphics make it look like show it. I think that's the disconnect. I don't even say it's an indie game though, Rudix. That's the thing. I don't think it's a game. What it felt like to me, and I, it's how do I explain it? It's like when you back in the day, like Windows 95, and so it's a second. We're going back to Windows 95. Like they had certain games that were like demoing the power of Windows 95. That's what this felt like. It didn't feel like a game. Like those were not real games. Like right, that was not what was it like Windows 95, Duke Nukem, Carmen San Diego. Those were like game. Those had gameplay elements. This didn't really have a gameplay element. Like it does not have a hard gameplay element, right? It's almost where I compare this to is like the Dark Pictures anthology series. However, I feel like those have more of a gameplay element to it. Those have more of a mystery to it. Those have a storytelling like I want to understand. And so, like, I had to ask myself, why do I like Dark Pictures? Why do I like the Idols Ides Hotel, which is not even like that's actual like film. Like why do I like playing those? But this one, it's like I will watch Nats if he streams it again, or anybody. I think I saw you were streaming it earlier. I'll watch y'all play it, but for me personally, I don't think it's I don't know. So you're like, well, Purple, it's a failure. No, I think it's a success. Here's the reason why. And the reason why is because of what I showed you all earlier. There's horror genres that I think could utilize the technology. Unreal Engine 5, if you want, or whatever you want to call it, could utilize some of that atmospheric. So sound stage wise or sound engineering wise, the game is it's up there, like very up there. Visually, it's up there. It's amazing game. But again, I don't. Silent Cypher and I went back on this back and forth, which is like I don't necessarily need the best graphics to be in my games. Like Ori works because Ori looks the way it looks like, right? Spiritfarer works because it looks the way it's supposed to. It looks a certain way. There's certain games that have a certain art style, and it's like, yeah, that's cool. But it's the gameplay that makes, like, I'm a gameplay person, right? And so I'm trying to think, like, what games could really benefit from this, like, kind of ultra environmental type of aspect, and it's horror. Like, if you think about it, if you turn the sound off of a horror film, and I think we talked about this on this channel, Dave talked about it. If you turn the sound off on a horror film, it's not scary. You know what I mean? If you turn the lights on and the sound off on a horror film, you're like, this is cheesy. But if you could take the elements of what they did in Hellblade, and Hellblade, I guess, is like psychological horror in a way, but I don't really consider it that way. And you were to put it in some of these other games, that's why I think it's a success. I totally think this game is going to win 2 to 3 game of the year, 2 to 3 categories for later this year. I think it's going to win game direction, which is probably the most prestigious of the awards. It's going to win. I think it's going to win maybe sound, but I got to hold off because there's a couple of others coming up later this year that might be able to usurp it. But that sound design is pretty solid. I could see it winning a Grammy for sound design. That's for one. I could definitely see that. But I don't think I don't even know if it's going to be nominated for Game of the Year because I don't think it's a game. Like if you think about game theory, there is no game theory in this game. So if there's no game theory in the game, how can I call it a game? Maybe I'm splitting hairs. BAFTA could. Oh, for sure. Acting. Best voice actress. That could be a tough one too, depending on what comes out later in the year. But it's definitely so. Yeah, those are the 3. Those are the 3 categories. I think it should win. Well deserving. And in that regard, it's a success. I think in the regard of like being a game, I actually don't think it's a success. And that's not to hate on Xbox or it's not even Xbox, right? That's not to hate on Ninja Theory. I just don't know if that's I would put it there. But the Kojima game that Xbox is making, right? That's a horror game. If they can borrow elements because they said, hey, this worked in Hellblade, and they can build upon it and say, yo, we can have a game mechanic to it. Well, now it's cool. But as far as Hellblade as it is, I don't see it as a game. And I guess that's my whole thing. Audio and graphics are the best. Audio is for sure. Audio's graphics, like I said, I'm not. If you're into, it depends on what do you want ultra realistic graphics? That's one thing. Like I said, I play games for the art. I always have. It should be a success. It should be a success. Yeah, like I said, I think it depends on who you are. Who you are, where are you, what type of gamer are you? From a business perspective, again, I think it's a mixed bag. I think the idea that this game is going to bring people in, I don't know about that. I think from the idea that you can show off technology and potentially partner with others to improve their games, yeah, it's a huge success. Which, to tell you the truth, I think Microsoft would take either one. But like I said, as far as a game, I cannot put it in that category because I don't think it's a game. That's just me. Was this a conversation with Hellblade 1? What is the conversation? Was it a game? Or I think Hellblade 1 had, but if you heard me in the beginning, I said Hellblade 1. Is Hellblade 1 a game? No, because I would say it's more of a game than this one. I didn't think Hellblade 1 was as much of a drag as this. I think Hellblade 1 told a story. I think Hellblade 1 had, and I was not a fan of the fighting sequences in Hellblade 1. This one literally felt like I was pushing the character along, if that makes sense. Like you're pulling, you're pushing. Like that's not a thing. I think in Hellblade 1, the way I saw Hellblade 1 was a game with a solid story, but again, I thought Hellblade 1 was unique because of two things. It was one of the first games that used surround sound, and it was one of the first games that really dived into the element of psychosis. Hellblade 2, I don't think it's as solid of a story. You're gonna find me hard pressed to say that. Like you're gonna have to try to convince me some way. Like I don't say that. Like I just don't. Like from a storytelling perspective, no. From a puzzle playing perspective, no. From a game playing perspective, like gaming, like the element of gaming between you doing X and achieving some success further. No, this was more like a movie. Like if y'all remember, what were those big DVDs? Before DVDs came out, they had something called a laser disc. This felt like a laser disc. Hellblade 1 feels more of a game than Hellblade 2, but again, I wasn't a fan of the game of Hellblade 1. What I was a fan of was what they were talking about, and I thought it had a better story. This one, not as good of a story. I think it is slower in gameplay. And if you think about it, every game has this element of you moving a joystick, a mouse, going forward. So there's that, but I think they slowed the game down to where it's like it just didn't feel like that. But that's just me. Like if you like the game, you like the game. I'm just gonna say, like, I don't think it's a game. Hey Eniok, how are you? No worries, just talking a little bit about games. Just died on hard mode. See, Sanchez likes it, so I'm happy for Sanchez. I felt that when Hellblade came out, that there was a lot of PlayStation users that was defined as cinematic walking experiences. See, I wasn't playing it. I played it on Nintendo. I played it on Switch. Like I got into Hellblade when they announced it for Switch, and at that time, I wasn't even worried about PlayStation. Wasn't worried about Stadia. Wasn't even mentioned. Like Xbox. Like I was like, I don't even know what that is. I played it on Switch. They're like, yo, this game's launching on Switch. I have remembered that I have read in a magazine somewhere else that like this was one of a few games that did a grant for mental health, and it had a female protagonist. and it was built in a time during Gamergate. So like I was like all about it. So that's why I liked the game or the experience, if you want to call it like that. But if from an actual gameplay standpoint, I've said it before, I did not like. It's not something where I'm like, let me go jump back into Hellblade. No. Like I think it's when I hear people say it's fire, like I'm like, what are you like? What type of game do you like? If you're talking about the story is not like. Go read a book. There's tons of books with better stories. There's tons of TV shows with better stories. There's tons of movies with better stories. If you're talking about the surround sound, okay, and I said, if you're saying the gameplay mechanics, no. I would say probably, without a doubt, it is the worst gameplay mechanics I have experienced in the last 3 years. With the exception of Crata. I hate that game. But with the exception of Crata, I would say this is the worst gameplay mechanics in the last 3 years. So if it's that, then like, why would I say it's a great game? It is like a movie, Cherry Man, and that's why you compare it to a movie. You're 100% correct. I haven't even played God of War. Y'all never hear me talk about God of War Ragnarok. I never talk about God of War Ragnarok. You'll never hear me talk about this game. That's the thing. When I talk about it, like Xbox, like I don't. What I tell you about Ghost of Tsushima, I played that game and I was like, yo, it's average, right? It's like, but I'll say this: Ghost of Tsushima took me like 25, 30 hours, and it felt like 25, 30 hours. I played this game for like 30 minutes and it felt like an hour and a half. That's not cool. What's over and under on that being made ever? It's being made, simpleton. Don't you put some doubt in my mind. I think you're right, and I think it's delivered as we achieve interactivity in the 3D realm. Internet games, why is it when I read your stuff, I have to think the hardest? Like, I'm like, the 3D realm. And when I said that, I just thought about the 4D realm and Interstellar. But yeah, I think, like I said, I think from a technological standpoint, that's why I say it's a mixed bag. I think from a gaming standpoint, yeah, it was a failure. I think from a purely gaming, was I entertained? Did I enjoy the game I played? No. Right? But with that said, there are many things, many inventions, many types of the concepts that were actually failures for what they were supposed to do that were huge successes in other things. And I put this game, that's the path for this game. Or for this experience, or this entertainment medium. That's what it is. Do I think that's VR? I don't know. Do I think that's like helping other games that need to be, you know, something to crack the code in some other spaces? I don't know what it is. Is it for movie telling? I don't know. Is it for audio stuff? I don't know. But what I will say is it's probably the best rendition in the gaming industry of Unreal Engine 5. Like the best use of it. I'm not going to say overall Unreal Engine 5 because I think a couple of movies have used it pretty well. I think it's a great use case. I'll leave it like that. You're losing some cool points. Ghost is average. Oh, how am I losing? It is! Ghost of Tsushima. Okay, if you've not played the game, tell me why is that game not average? The story? The main story in Ghost of Tsushima is not a good story until like the last 2 chapters. The side stories in Ghost of Tsushima are really interesting until it ends. Every single side story was a stupid story. I'm like, this was dumb. Like I spent 5 hours on this one side story, and the best you can do is what are some of the stupid ones that they did? Like, you're pissed off at your protege, and this is how you end it? No, I don't want to ruin it because if I talk about the other ones, it's gonna ruin it. Like, the gameplay was kind of like okay. I thought the scenery was cool, but there's no reason for me to go back in that world. I don't know. That's how I feel about Ghost of Tsushima. Like, I'm not gonna like. You're not gonna hear me say it. See, I don't even think it's Ubisoft, Rudix. Wait a minute, you don't like the story and Ghost of Carry Man. Why should I like the story? Like, when I hear this is like when Cowboy told me last week I need to like what game? Stellar Blade, because I can change the chick's earrings. Like, what? Like, at least Ubisoft, their side stories, their gameplay mechanic loop, like, it makes me want to go explore those worlds. Like, there's some element to that that's like at least kind of exciting to like go walk around. I know this is controversial, a controversial take, but I'm telling you, I played it, I beat it, and yeah, that's where it is. Let's stop disrespecting Ghost. No, I'm not. I think Ghost of Tsushima came out and it was amazing. Maybe in when did it come out? 2018, 2020? And y'all were like, yo, this is super cool. But I don't, from what? Tell me, why is it so great, ISO? Cherry Man, tell me. So Holt, you played it. I've never, I've never played these. They look good from what I've seen. Roster, you may like it. And who do we have uncompetitive? He's in here too. Like, if y'all liked Ghost of Tsushima, tell me, what did you like about it? Like, I just told you what I like. Like, what do I like in games? Like, I like co-op cover shooters, puzzle games, Metroidvanias, hack and slash, and RPG, adventure RPGs. Not a puzzle game. Not a co-op shooter. Not a Metrovania. So we're left with two: hack and slash, and we're left with RPG elements. RPG elements are aight. They're aight, but there's not like as long as you keep leveling up, everybody's character's gonna look the same. So like, not the greatest RPG. So I'm left with one: hack and slash. You're not gonna convince me Ghost of Tsushima is the best hack and slash. So if the story's not that great, it's not the best hack and slash. Why? I'm just telling you how I look at it. Hey, Uncompetitive, what's going on? Uncompetitive, how did you like Ghost of Tsushima? I know you like that game. Hey, Bliss, what's up? Ended up taking your advice and got Remnant 2 and DLCs on sale. Bliss, what do you think of it? What do you think? We had, I think he left. Eternal Shadai was earlier in chat. He loves it. He's like almost beat the whole thing. Like, he only has one more achievement. How do you like it, Bliss? Because you like Souls games. I can't trust Rudix. I can, like, how do you like it? Combat, story, characters. What characters? What story? The combat? The stealth combat? That's like, okay. I mean, I get it. So you like Valorant. Like, I mean, you know what they say about those types. Not saying it's the GOAT, but it's pretty. I'm not saying it's bad. Like, look, it's the same thing with Hellblade. These are not bad games. These are not. What's the game I just said? Crata. Crata is a bad game. Like, that game should be banned. I'm just saying, like, it was like, like, okay. I'd rather go play like chess.com. Like, that's it. That's like my standard. I'm like, okay, something I play at least an hour in each day, just a chessboard. When I'm playing your game, do I want to go play a different game? Hellblade did that. Ghost of Tsushima did it for different elements. The side stories, I was into it till the end. The main story, every single time I was with that main story, I was just like, it's not a good story. Like, I predicted the story. Like, that's not a good story. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, y'all. Maybe I'm just saying, it's my opinion. It's my opinion. Here goes Bless. Don't do it. Don't do it. You may like it. You may like it. I thought Ghost of Tsushima was very beautiful, but I got bored and didn't finish it. Uncompetitive. This is guy who he's with King Thrash all the time. Like about it, I'm with you. I think it's beautiful. That's why I said when they brought up, who brought it up? Sanchez brought it up. I think Ghost of Tsushima at least has gameplay elements to it, as where Hellblade doesn't. But I'm gonna say like, and at least in Ghost of Tsushima, I'm not gonna say I got bored, but there were times where I was like, okay, I kind of want this game to end. That was like 20 hours into the game. Hellblade, this happened like 25 minutes into the game. And then I watched Nads play for like an hour and a half, and I was entertained. So, shout out to Cloud and Console. Final Fantasy Rebirth being like a Ubisoft World style game and totally drained me from wanting to play this year's Assassin's Creed Shadow. Because Tsushima was great for visuals when released. Really? Holt, you don't think you can get back into it? It doesn't release for another 6 months. Valorant takes actual skill, please. No, I'm joking. It does. I'm not gonna say that. Y'all are really good at those games. Again, I am super trustful guy. My middle name is Trust. Rue Trust Diggs. I see a U in front of the trust, so it makes me Rue Untrustful Diggs. Has a ring to it. To be honest, I spent too much time playing Modern Warfare that I have not had time for anything else. I had to force myself to quit this week at rank. I don't even know what that means, but that's a lot. That's a lot. So what do we think about the rumor God of War Ragnarok being Nix's next or August 24th? I think it makes sense. It's been 2 years. Internet games, I think it makes sense. What do you think about it? Will you play it? God of War Ragnarok, so that's an interesting one. Another unpopular opinion. God of War 2018 better than God of War Ragnarok. What I just think. That's what I think. See, there's a trend here. Like the sequel's just not as good as the first. We've talked about this in movies. Like what movie had a better second than first? Right? I think that's a great way to look at Hellblade 2. Most times, if the first was like somewhat successful, the second gets lots more dollars, right? But unfortunately, with lots more dollars comes with more expectations, comes with more investors, come with more different people who have to then sign off on the direction you go. I think that's what happened with Hellblade 2. And I mentioned that I was going to talk about this in the beginning. I believe, and this is not a swipe to Xbox, it's a swipe to Microsoft. Y'all know it's always the criticism on Microsoft. I believe there's too many people who are making decisions that have nothing to do with gaming over there in Xbox. Like, in order to make a game, and we heard this from Rihanna Pratchett, tell a story, make a game, make a visual. There's so many other people who have to sign off. It's not just the studio. People who have the final word on decisions, nothing to do with gaming. I think you're going to see Xbox continue to play it pretty safe, to continue to try to play some certain formula. I think they're going to be the first people to use AI in games, if they're not already. Yeah. I don't know if that's a success. But I think some of the things they are going, when they do go hard on, will show other people how to do it. So, again, I don't know. I don't think it can be wrong as long as it's truly an opinion. Ooh, versus a fact? I don't know, you're absolutely wrong for saying it's average, but I don't fault you for having an opinion. Ghost and Hellblade are way different. Each has good things going, not perfect. Yeah, I think if they're your games, go for it. As long as you're playing games, as long as you're not shooting up people, as long as you're doing healthy stuff, you're playing whatever game you want. I just, I wanted to talk about my experience with it. What I had said initially was I was critical of the gameplay in the first one. I didn't think they needed to have a story in the second one. Like, I just didn't think you could build off the story of the first one. I guess you could, and they did, but it's not going to be as strong. And those were two things that were still critical. I'm not someone, like I said it before, I'm not someone who's really big into realistic visuals. Like, you and Doc had me on your show, and you said, Doc, or you asked me, hey, what if you could get Zelda with like super awesome graphics? And I said, if it comes at the expense of gameplay, I don't want it. And that's how I am. Like, I don't like some of my favorite games don't have amazing graphics, like or super realistic graphics. But Internet of Games would say that is the next frontier. Promiscuous gamer. Ooh, define a promiscuous gamer. The Dark Knight. It's a good sequel. Ooh, Batman. Dang, Whit, you took me up on my offer. The Dark Knight. Okay. I'll go with you on that. I'll go. I'm not saying it can't be done. Some people would say Ori 2 is better than Ori 1. I don't know if I'm going to say that. I'm going to say Ori 2 is pretty good, though. Remnant 2, better than Remnant 1. I think I could go along with that. So I'm not saying it's impossible. Darksiders 2 versus Darksiders 1. Probably better. So it's not impossible. It's just not, it's not the norm. And if y'all say Mario 2 over Mario 1, no. No, Mario 2 is not better than Mario 1. Done. How Tagger Spider-Man 2 and Reach the King don't feel like a slight increment stepping could have been DLC than a sequel. So no shock with Hellblade getting the same take. Yeah, I agree. If people think Hellblade looks good, just wait until Kojima's cloud power example, right? Internet games, you're now talking. That's exactly what I think is going to happen. That's why I think Hellblade could be considered a success. So it could allow Kojima's second cloud-based game to, if Hellblade, you had to walk to run in Kojima's game. Did I do that right? Did I say that correctly? Because you literally have to walk in Hellblade 2 so you can run for your life in Kojima's horror game. I like that. Ori is average. Shut up, ISO. Stop. I was about to cuss you. Stop it. No, how's Ori average? Have you even played Ori? Have you even beat it? Purple declares Hellblade 2 has a second album syndrome. Photo mode is like, so Sanchez, if you like it, like I cannot think of her name, but she was phenomenal. She did Redemption photo art for Stadia. She was so good. I want to see what she can do. Or the Russo narrative. He's another one. Both of those. Or in 7. Spectre and 7. All those guys are like guys and gals are into photo art. So I'm pretty excited for them to get in there and do their thing. That should be pretty cool. I'm excited for that. Red Dead 2 is much better than Red Dead 1. All right. Spider-Man 2 is better than Spider-Man 1. All right. Mario 3 pretty good. Mario 3 is better than 2 and 1. I will go with that. I'm saying it's possible. I feel Back to the Future 2 was better than the first as it's shown the future. Back to the Future 1. Okay, that's where they go back in the 1950s. Back to the Future 2, they go, what happens in Back to the Future 2? I just watched this too. Back to the Future 3 is when they go back to the cowboy days, right? And Back to the Future 2, what do they do? Is that where we see the flying skateboards? Because I would agree. Actually, I've never really seen Back to the Future 1, but I like Back to the Future 1 because it makes a cameo, and I think Back to the Future 3, no? Man, it's weird because it's like Back to the Future. It's kind of like messes with your mind, especially when they go, oh, they go back to the, it's weird. It's weird. It's big brain stuff. Oh, we really think Kojima's game is going to be good. The Delivery Man game is more weird than good. Agree. I said Death Stranding was weird. Okay, Rock loves Death Stranding. I don't know what. I got the game for free, and I was like, I want my money back. But I do think the Kojima game is going to be good because of what I said. Hellblade 2 has this atmospheric element to it, right? Kojima's game, if they can take a horror game, right? And it seems like Kojima, like, he wants to be kind of in this stratosphere of like movie developer. So if he can take that, I do think it could be good. 100%. 100%. not jump back towards the middle, but we are warming up for Delivery Guy 2 too. Delivery, what is so great about this game? This Death Stranding game? I don't get it. I don't get it. But again, I have weird taste. You know? Prince of Persia, Game of the Year 2024. I'm dead serious. I love that game. Like, because it has a gameplay element to it. And I really like that I get free content. That's what you call it. Content ad. Gaming is at a I just did the best screenshot when Steven comes out of the wire only showing her head. I don't. No, Rouser, it's not a spoiler because I think they show that in the trailer. So he's not telling why she pokes her head out. But yeah. But if he tells you too much more, he might be spoiling the movie or the game. I called it a movie. So yeah, that's how I feel about Hellblade. That's how I feel about Prince of Persia. That's how I feel about Death Stranding, Ghost of Tsushima. And yeah. But with that, y'all know I'm excited about certain movies coming or certain games coming up. I got another trailer just dropped today for a game I think might be the game of the year. All right, here we go. You already know what it is. I've talked about this one enough. All right, here we go. I think it's just a minute 30, so bear with me. Black Myth Wukong had a new trailer this week. Not today, I said today. I think it came out a few days ago, maybe yesterday. Yeah, I think the source material for this game is amazing. Like, this is like, to beat this source material, like, it already has that. So if it tells the story, it's going to be amazing. Hack and slash versus Souls game. A lot of people have said it's just more Soulsy. I think that trailer makes it seem like it's more hack and slash. So again, I'm down for it. You know what I mean? I think the visuals obviously not gonna be a from a visual perspective, we're not gonna get a Hellblade 2. Nowhere close. But I think we're gonna get something that's pretty cool, right? That's gonna have its own unique art style. Soundtrack wise, I'm not too sure. You know, it does seem like they're borrowing some elements from like from very Nintendo like. If you listen to that trailer again, it reminds me of the Nintendo chords. But yeah, I think this game, and here's the reason why I think this game could be game of the year. Is because it's a Chinese game. And we haven't really seen a Chinese AAA game launch. And if this game gets a lot of buzz in China, right? It already has buzz in Western markets for comparisons to Souls-like games. It's one of those games that can all of a sudden, in a week, get 10 million sales, right? Like generate that type of buzz, right? And once you're starting to generate that type of buzz, it's like a network effect. It just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. Launching in August, so it's just a few months before the Game Awards. I totally expect this game, if it doesn't have any bugs, and it does deliver on a solid hack and slash, a solid story. And oh, by the way, this is like one of the most popular, like the theme song that they have in there actually comes from a 1980s TV show that is based upon the 16th century Monkey King anthology. And like I said, there's a lot built in there. And we haven't seen that from China. Like it reminds me, if you remember, like 20 something, like what's it called, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, how that was a huge success in China, and then it came over here and it was like a pretty solid success here in Western markets, and it just like did really well. Kind of reminds me of that, where you had this like cross global appeal. So I'm interested in it. We need to get to know the blackness of the New World leaders. The blackness of the New World. There are so many things between the lines in that one, Internet Games. You can now use your Fixo phone with your eyes, by the way. I can. I have it here. I actually have two. I have two, like right here. But I don't think I can. Your face to be more accurate. I don't know if I can. I don't trust it. I don't trust my Pixel like that. But yeah, so that's Black Myth Wukong. Again, I'm gonna keep talking about that. Little Nightmares, gonna keep talking about that. Gonna keep y'all updated on the games that I'm super excited about. And yeah, and last but not least, like I said, play what you like to play. I just gave my opinion. I think it's, at the end of the day, I think it's both a success and a failure. Is that riding the fence? Hellblade 2, that is. I saw a lot of Son Goku TV, but not games. Though Engage was an amazing game from PS3. Interesting. PC, PS3, that whole PS3, Xbox 360 era. I was fighting wars. They got serious, huh? It's the truth. That whole time frame, I was not gaming, at all. Maybe I played Ghostbusters. I think I did. I just keep putting the pieces out there, and eventually they'll all come together into the walking media that's coming. Into the walking media? What are you saying? Internet Games, I'm gonna drop this link. Can you come on? Is your mic on? I'll drop a link for some of y'all to come on. If you want to come on. Here you go. Hold on. Let me see. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. Before I do that, y'all, this is who Internet of Games said I looked like. I do want to show this. Here's Internet of Games. This is what he says I look like. Y'all ready? Tell me. Is that me? No? Wait, you can't see. This, is that me? I don't know. I don't, do y'all see it? I don't necessarily see it. Let me see how she's doing it. How can I, she does have a widow's peak. So that's kind of cool. She's got my brow. Okay. Let's see, my nose, maybe. And she has kind of her little puffy cheeks. All right, y'all got me. Y'all got me. I did a little modeling for the game. No, I'm joking. I didn't do that. I don't know who that is. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know Internet Games. I don't know what type of hair it is. Like now I'm like really looking because I'm like, I do kind of have like that going on. I don't know. We'll come back to that. All right, let me drop this. that is internet games. That's who we favor. Or do I favor her? Does she favor me? You tell me. Here we go. Let's see. Let me drop a link for y'all. There we go. Pin message. But no, like I said, I'll probably stream for another 20 minutes. Just wanted to talk to y'all. Like I said, I told Fast earlier, we will be doing, if any of y'all Fall Guys people, we will be doing the tournament this weekend, 8 p.m. Eastern, and then I'm gonna play a different game. At least until probably the end of June. But I do want to get the Fall Guys tournament done, and then we will start another game. And I will say it is a sequel. I will be playing a sequel to a game I've already played. So if you know what games I played, you know what games I like to play, you might be able to figure out what I'll be playing. I'm actually stoked about it. Just because it has a female protagonist. All right, that's all the hints. That's all the hints. Bloody hell, dark mode, please. Which dark mode? Heavenly Sword. See, Heavenly Sword. Isn't this like the spiritual successor to Heavenly Sword? Yes, no, maybe so. Hellblade, that is, right? Because Heavenly Sword, Hellblade. I didn't actually figure that out until Rihanna told me about that. Because if y'all did not know, Rihanna Pratchett wrote Heavenly Sword. True story. I need to reach back out to Rihanna. I haven't talked to her in a second. Oh, wait. No, let's see. But yeah, I think I have one more. Nah, purple. 3 instead of the water intake. So maybe this game never had water reflection. Maybe. I don't know. That's what he said. I have one more trailer. I think I have one more trailer for y'all. Okay, here's my last trailer. This is the last trailer. I forget where I had this in my script, but this is the last trailer. Let me know what y'all think. I actually don't remember what this one was about. Maybe that's why I didn't do it. Here we go. Last trailer. That's Necrophosis. But we're gonna talk about Necrophosis, and if you watch that trailer, it is the longest burp in history. Alright, with that said, the one, the only, Marcus G. Knight, aka Internet of Games. What's going on?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. How are you? And welcome to Shades of Purple.
Well, no. It's not official.
It's not
I
official.
I can't get the camera to work. Sorry, guys.
No worries.
But I've never used this link before. So.
It's super late over there.
It is.
Games.
It's 2:21.
Oh my goodness.
How are we?
We are doing well.
Good.
Doing well. How are
Okay,
you?
so what do you want to know? You don't believe me that we're going to be sitting in front of 2D panels, walking through 3D visualized worlds.
So I need you to
using our
break
bodies.
down. I need you to break down this future. All right, that's what I meant. And let me bring this down. All right, I need you to break down how you see the future.
So I don't see it. These things are iterative, okay? So we're going to take some time, but at this rate, within 25 years, so the difference between black and white television and color television, if you like, that journey, we are going to be sitting in. Video is not going to be a 2D serial presentation.
Okay.
Video will be a 3D rendered presentation of the binaries that the directors and producers choose to afford the machine to develop the program we wish to interact with.
Okay.
So
Give me
artificial intelligence will take control of the cameras and the environment, and we as the viewer will, as we do now, wander through the world and experience the guide rails put in place by the production team.
So let's say I hear what you're saying. All right. So basically, look, okay. I had to put my thinking hat on here. So what you're saying is essentially this, is that the projector, right? So you're talking about just general AI will then be able to say like it'll take our environment, whatever it is.
No. Realistically, I don't see it going that way. I see it still using two-dimensional interactive planes in front of us.
Okay.
But the film, we'll call it a film because sort of that's something we can all relate to. So we go to the cinema and we watch a film, or we sit at home now. We don't go to cinemas anymore, really, unless we want that specific experience. But in the home, we sit in front of our computers. Now, the computers are being supermarket ed, and they are going to the cloud. And in the cloud, we have the opportunity to build games as hardware. Okay, so moving from games as software running on distributed hardware, we have the opportunity to build integrated hardware that formulates the game world, specialized games as hardware.
Okay.
And inside of those hardware nodes and modules, we have tensors and whatever future iterations of AI components that are handling the users at their consoles and manipulating. So the render is, we're kind of on top of the render, right? Because on a distributed hardware, we can render photorealistic environments. Now, forget distributed hardware because it's weak. It's so incredibly weak. It's such a bad way of doing it, right? Putting a PC on every desk was a fantastic way to get to this second mainframe revolution. But the power of having supercooled quantum integrated systems at scale, this is not for gaming. It just helps gaming, because gaming is only ever like 10% of any hardware manufacturer's money making, right?
Okay.
Okay, so Nvidia makes what 40 billion from gaming or something like that, whereas obviously they make a value of nearly 2 trillion on their business. So we are a historic part of their cherished museum of technology. That's that aside. Yes, you want to ask a question?
No, I was just obviously Nvidia reported last night, so I was just gonna.
If you could give me the real figures, yeah.
No, I was just gonna say. I mean, their valuation is obviously 2 trillion. I don't know what they would value their gaming at. They don't really
I
ever.
think it's about. I think I have heard that.
They
We can
value
look it
their
up.
gaming business at. They don't make 40 billion, but that may be what the valuation of the 2
Yeah,
trillion is. Maybe.
Mm. It's small. It's small anyway,
All right. So
but it does give us these tools at home. Yeah. So bring that in. Build games as hardware. Within that module, within that games as hardware, you can implement multiple systems and you can have multiple access points for multiple users. We already multiplex multiplayer games that react at subliminal speeds. Humans cannot. So when you have a multiplayer game and people talk about latency on the web, okay, what they don't realize is that well, of course they do realize, but the speed at which these clocks are turning basically slows down time to such a degree compared to the human perceptual time, which ticks at seconds or half seconds, or they can multiplex tens of thousands of users in before you have got angry because someone shot you, right?
right.
Okay. So, there's no problem with the speed at which we can compute in terms of fooling the meat space. Yeah.
Right.
We're slow. We're so slow because not only is it picking up those inputs and ascribing the correct outputs, it's rendering everything in between for everyone else also.
Right.
So, yeah, not a problem. So now take that away from the distributed model.
Okay.
And do it across 3.5 feet. There you go. For you Americans, I've used feet.
Okay.
So do it across a square meter. So bring all of that compute power from all of those distributed users within a meter so that your quantum tunneling effectively can occur within the machine.
Right.
We're not talking today, but today, when you look at one node in NVIDIA's latest iteration, the thing can do extraordinary things. This thing is working at near light speed. It's inconceivable how much mathematics it can do in a second. And that's coming to gaming. It's, so I don't think there's any fear that our emotional interactions with a 2D plane will render virtual worlds that are imperceptually different as we choose for them to be in real time for multiple viewers of a single device. This is not imaginary. We've seen the talks between Zuckerberg and Lex, for example, on Google's, on Meta's 3D face-to-face worlds. What's in the lab today will be on your laptop tomorrow. So, it's going to be so cool.
No, I can tell you're super excited, and we have in competitive studies a lot of this. He says, is this going to be gallium arsenide or silicon?
I don't know. I'm certainly a fan of photonics. Photonic computing, to me, seems like the most obvious way to pipe those photons and achieve the complexity perceived in the real world. So if you just think of it as a one-to-one mapping. So if we can map individual photons to locations of, say, atoms in the macro world, which is what they're obviously doing on cryogenic quantum chips, right? So we model the pi bond on the chip and hope for the coherence to hold in that hexagonal representation of 6 carbon molecule. Anyway, so it will certainly be silicon elements. How cryogenics and photonics develop, for me, it's always been about silicon glass rather than silicon wafer, because I believe that within a silicon glass, you can probably inform a long enough pipeline for some really interesting things to happen in that block.
Versus the wafer, which you believe is limiting?
I don't know enough about how the 3D caching and 3D tunneling effects will improve compute. The thing might just fall over, right? This is the problem. It's a binary system, okay? So at any point, the offs could all come on, and it falls over. But you know, I don't know.
No, it's exciting. It's exciting. Okay, so now I understand some of your comments, where they're coming from. When you think about it, I think when it comes to gaming, but then it's asked the question with this, and I see Simpleton's comment here. He says, you know, we'll just in the future.
Gallium arsenide, by the way, is used quite a lot in sensors still. So it could be that you have this, because it's all near life elements, right? Which is kind of interesting. Yeah, they're all near life elements, and it doesn't. Let me fantasize for one moment. It isn't inconceivable that the machine is trying to get to us as hard as we're trying to get to the machine in intelligence terms. So on a slightly different energetic plane, there is a race of silicon minds trying to find these alternative intelligences within the universe, and we're working towards each other through this crystalline structure. I mean, that's just fantasy, but it's obviously quite an interesting journey to think that we may be trying to open the portal to intelligences that are also trying to get to us.
That's interesting. Very, very sci-fi there.
Yeah, it's sci-fi, obviously. It's,
you know, and no, Simpleton, it's not. You know, he always thinks it's always this girl who's dancing. No, I think it's interesting. Like I said, I think when it comes to, so I think AI, just like every technology, there are, you know, peaks and valleys, if you will, in how the technology improves. And I think right now we are at a place of a peak. But in my opinion, I think that there is, like, right, when we think about AI, most of the consumer base looks at AI as like Chat GPT or Gemini. We put in a question, we get an answer back, right? But that's a very limited use case for AI. But if we look at AI, what you're talking about, I think we have to have it takes into account a couple of technological leaps that we have not made.
yeah,
Right,
so
right.
Gemma, so Google's integrated token caching in Gemma this time. So effectively, Gemma, the new model Gemma for Gemini, can cache. So she learns from her own results.
Correct.
So token caching is a big step towards creating a neural architecture with a long-term memory and possibly a personality, of course.
So you're saying, like, obviously we're now starting to get into uh
Hardware,
AG or AGI, right?
agents as hardware, right? Agents as hardware. These
Agents as hardware. So when we talk about agents in an AI, we're talking about
at the moment, they're agents in AI are programs run on existing architecture.
correct. But now you're
However,
go ahead.
I'm saying we build custom architectures for independent AIs. It's
So
just because we distribute that we can't afford to do that. But if we didn't distribute, if all of the agents were sat on shelves, if all of the agents were sat in servers, we could build custom.
so I'm better. Okay, so all right. So now I see what you're saying. All right. So what? So if I correct me if I'm wrong, but chat. Here's where uh Internet of Games is going. He's saying currently right now we have like a computer, like one hardware, and then to get to that hardware, we have different agents, right? We can access different agents through this hardware, but that's actually very limiting, right? Because each of those agents actually does something different. But in the future, we actually would maybe build hardware for a certain type of agent. So if we think about an agent which actually helps us do a task, right? That agent could help us like decode DNA to figure out the different RNA structures, figure out different things for a genome of a disease, all the way to like helping us with our writing an email, right? Those are all agents that do stuff. But you're saying that once you reach kind of this general cognitive, or what they call AGI, artificial general intelligence, right? Now you can build that agent is no longer limited by the hardware that we have as the consumer. Instead, to actually unpack the full potential of that agent, we would build hardware that agent can then utilize itself.
Yeah, nature has
He said
provided.
yes.
Nature has provided us with the answer. The software is eternal. The hardware is ephemeral. So what we would do is build hardwares that would become redundant, but the output of them would be passed on to their progeny. Quantum entanglement. Someone says quantum entanglement permits spooky action at a distance, right? Which is true. So we would split the photon on Earth and send the one half of the photon to the moon, because spooky action at a distance doesn't really quite work like that. But you could send the photon. You send the photon through a gate, and it would cause the other half of the photon, if you like, to trigger the gate on the moon. But you do have to send the quantum information. There is no, you can't sort of keep your quantum information hidden behind a wall on Earth and expect the moon computer to understand that something's happened. It has to see it, if you like.
Right. Well, or it's a basic law of physics. You need a force to act upon it. It can't just internally combust on its own in a way. So, but with that said, so y'all, what Internet of Games is just saying is just to like the movie AI. I believe that's the movie, right? With the kid from The Sixth Sense. I believe that's the name of the movie. But what he's saying is, in order to get to that, you have to, like, right now, potentially. And he's saying that there's potentially like this one more technological leap, which is where an AI can act, where we already have that, right? Where an AI can already act upon its own data that it's created itself.
Yeah.
Where in that in itself, now you have the ability for artificial intelligence to teach itself. Once you have that ability for artificial intelligence to teach itself through its own actions, well, in your computer, how does that show up? There's no really way for that to show up. Maybe that shows up through a gameplay, like where NPCs or not even NPCs, where you could have like a third person on your team who's AI who's now playing against you. But still, that is still input that you're giving it, that the AI is actually just getting the data from your playing. When you have AGI, like the AI is actually doing things and learning from its own things. So in order to fully unpack that, that's where you then get some type of doll that you could utilize this technology. And now this doll can do whatever. I think that's what you're saying. I try to simplify.
No, I don't
Not.
think I am. Sorry. So I'm talking about, I'm actually talking about, so for example, some military experiments worked with etched patterns in circuits.
Okay.
So the end-to-end communication. So the signal was created by the etching on the transmitter, and the patternation of the signal could therefore only pass through the shape, literally the shape of the receiver at the other end. So you send a physical key. The key is physically generated by an etched area of the circuit board. And that key then is only decodable by a receptive lock. So hardware keys, locks and keys. So now if you imagine what I believe is that custom machines will be built. This ubiquitous machining that we do is only necessary now because we're trying to do it for everybody. And really, you know, it might be better if we do it for everybody, but in one place. So like build big things in small spaces rather than give everyone small things across big spaces. It just makes a lot more sense when you're trying to deal with computation at the speed that we want it. So I think that custom machines, which of course, you know, NVIDIA are using custom hardware, that the things we're looking at are last generation's custom hardware, right? And the bits that didn't burn out and don't cost £1 million a minute to turn on. Those bits aren't here yet. But it's almost certain that as drawings became photos and photos became moving images and moving images went from black and white to color, and color went to 3D movement, it's almost as certain that 3D movement will become as good as drawings. You know, it's the chain, the serial nature. So we went from analog to, if you like, digital, the photo. So we went from the analog world, we represented that digitally by capturing the photons on glass in a very analog way, but then we replicated it, and then we started moving those, and then we digitize those down even further. Compressors, right? This is almost all AIs that we use today, chatbots, are just really, really great compressors. Yeah, they take all of those, what we see in a macro world as words, and they put them into a formula, and the formula hits the right tokens when it's given the right inputs, and those tokens come together in what seems like, and is as evolved as human speech, because that's what it learned on. That's what the math at the center of AI does. It's a compressor. It takes a load of data, puts it through a gate, a series of gates, and it can call on all of those locations without putting out calls. It's a compressor, right? That's how I see it.
No.
It's an algorithm
Love it.
of compression.
Love it. No, well, we'll see.
So yeah, I within 10 years, 5. What's going to happen next year? That's what because people will go, I don't care what's happening in 10 years. I don't believe you. So we are in a little bit of a rut, but as conflicts evolve, money is going into these technologies, and all of our technologies as gamers come from war, and whether you like that or not, ideally would solve the war problem, right? But all of these technologies, the Second World War is why we sit here today with 3D animation in our fingertips. It's as simple as that, right? It's the money that's piled in to save your own ass. Because when you're just running for your, right, the fox and the hare, so the fox will give up because the fox is just running for lunch. The hare is running for its life. So when you're running for your life, things tend to happen. So there is a movement, of course, towards grand conflagration when you are so secure that you're not worried about ever having to go to fight. You know. Anyway, that's where. So
next time y'all are playing tic-tac-toe on the computer, came from World War II.
That's right.
You heard it here. You heard it here.
But this Cold War we're in at the moment will certainly assist gaming. I mean, you know,
it has to.
I mean, it is a game. The standoff in the Ukraine is it is just a game of two computers running against each other, not on the ground, not among. There's no humans left in the gap between the two lines anyway. You go there and you're not coming back. So those two computers are just running two lines of, you know, and that's why nothing's really being fired.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna listen back to this, as I always do on my Shades of Purple.
These are stalemates, and it is a global stalemate.
Global. Interesting. What do
you think? I mean, you're the expert here.
I'm not an. If there's anything I learned in this conversation, it's that I am not an expert. You know, in we got deep state, and we have Russia, and we
look
have
at the way we react.
Lines, and
look how calmly we reacted. Look how calmly we reacted to the 300 missile. Or 300, a mixture of missiles and drones sent over towards Israel the other week. I mean, the world, all sides of the world just went, well, we're going to knock them down. And each one of those could have killed thousands of Israelis. Okay, but they were sent, and it's something that all of the computers in the sky were able to just go, all right, well, there they are. Oh, yeah, it's just rockets and drones. Okay, they put a few pilots on them just for a bit of practice, but come on. It wasn't the pilot at the end of the day, was it? It was the computer in the pilot's machine that was able to knock down the drones that went off course because their computers were wrong. So,
or not. Like I said, I will tell this story really briefly. So internet games. You know what I did in the army?
No.
I was what they call.
Do I want to know?
Air defense artillery. Air defense artillery. So that means we Patriot missiles, THAAD, Stinger, all that stuff that you shoot it from the ground to hit something in the sky that is a threat to ground assets.
Yeah,
that's what we did. When we launched or anything, if you use a Patriot, so each of these missiles at the time were $3 to $6 million, depending on the type of missile. And
we'd love to pay that for them.
And so And so, but the thing about it is, many times the war games go. Um, During the Iraq War, we actually used them. Not the first, not the Gulf, but in 2006, we actually used them. And the thing about it is, we knew exactly where they were going to be launched and when they were going to be launched. I only say that just because there is a gamesmanship when it comes to war. And so when we talk about certain things, there are signals that happen. And I think the reason why you did not hear a large reaction is because that was a signal, not so much that we want to hurt you, but that we can still reach you.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was
This is certainly the line, but that doesn't mean that the two teams on both sides didn't have to be in constant state of vigilance to calm that situation to that point.
of course, of
Yeah,
course,
right,
of
right. And
course.
that's not done with pencil and paper, is it?
Uh, no, that's called gamemanship. Which again, there's no gamemanship in Hellblade 2, but that's called game theory, right? That's game theory. That's
Yeah,
the
and the
ability
games
to.
are done on computers.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Well, it certainly isn't by world leaders, is it?
I don't know about that either. But
If it was,
until next time, I don't want to get into. I
no, I
don't
know
want to
you
get.
brought it up. You
I
brought
don't
it
want
up.
to get into it.
I just said that we were, these signals, which is a great word. They use that over here as well to describe it. By the way, when they were just putting out the calming messages the next morning, oh, it's just a signal. Yeah, okay. Well, what if we hadn't had equal and opposite preparedness for such a signal?
Okay.
And it wasn't. If it was a pre-agreed assault, which could be an extension of what you're saying. So the diplomatic messaging goes out ahead of time to prevent casualties or prevent Iran ending up with, being allowed to let it happen, because the worst thing there for Iran is that those land in that situation, because they don't wake up the next morning. So there's pre-agreed channels saying, well, there was an embassy. I know it's not recognized as an embassy, but we're going to have to do something just to show our readiness. So if you're saying that all comes out beforehand, well, that's great, but that certainly doesn't allow time to reprogram your capability. So the capability still has to be active and in place, because it's not a specific threat. You don't know there's going to be 300 or 200 followed by 200, right?
But I think so. The thing about it is, there's a lot. So I'll tell you a lot of things that happened. Again, this is just all that happens, right? Like, so the two war zones I have been on, I've been in the Middle East and I've been in North Korea. So let me give you a North Korea example. There's a lot more things that happen than actually gets reported, right? So when you are air defense artillery, you have giant radars, you have access to giant radars that are pointed into the sky, pointing in certain directions. There's a lot of things that we can see and that they know we can see. And so what I'm saying is that you give them a Scud, a cruise missile or a drone, right? The reason why you launch that per se versus like a intercontinental ballistic missile, right? Something that goes pretty high, pretty fast, right?
Skip
line. So the reason why you would launch that is because it has a long lead time, right? In order to anything that it's interesting terrain. Do you know Iran? Do you know their terrain? Why it's an interesting terrain? It's surrounded by mountains, except facing Afghanistan. And what that does is it's a very tactical position, but it's also not a tactical position because as soon as things come over the mountain, you can see it.
Hmm.
And so that's why, like, they know we can see it. We know we can shoot it down because we've done it before.
Hmm.
If you were really to try to hurt someone, you wouldn't signal like that.
Yes, right. So as I said, we're in stalemate, a technological stalemate.
I wouldn't say technological stalemate. I think what you said earlier was exactly the truth. Right now, we are comfortable in the current situation. The status quo is not interrupted.
No, and it looks less likely to be interrupted today than it did probably 12 weeks ago, to be fair.
We'll see. I don't know about that. We'll see. I think that what is the natural?
I mean, this 2-week holiday in China with Putin, that's an interesting one, because if anyone's had a friend round for 2 weeks, they know by the end of it, gosh, they can't wait for them to go home.
So
Nothing
we'll see.
worse.
We'll see. Like I said, the natural state of the universe is what? Chaos.
Oh.
Chaos.
Chaos. Okay.
So it takes.
Well,
many
I
forces.
don't. I think that's fine if you're a free radical, and free radicals do get through. But we are talking about logistic lumps, right? And money.
No. I think it takes a lot of force for things to stay together, right? That is like that. I think that is a general rule that we see throughout physics, throughout multiple areas in nature. And so when those structures become weak, if there is a natural force that is chaotic, then you will see something break off. When something breaks off, the status quo no longer holds true. So in my opinion, to predict when things actually are about to break apart is actually to look at the structures holding that in place. The conflict we just mentioned, I think there is quite a difference in the paradigm shift that is happening.
I do, but I think it's a rectification psychologically amongst the human population.
We'll see. Like I said.
We'll see.
That's what I said. We'll see. But with that said, free radicals, which is what I found out is what we do with antioxidants. You talk about free radicals with antioxidants.
Yeah, that's your poppers on the street, bobbing the old knife-wielding terrorist over the head. That's antioxidants, plenty of antioxidants. That's what we need. Lots of police officers searching vulnerable people to make everyone who is feeling vulnerable feel safe.
There you go. But with that, internet games, I only like to go 2 hours. So, but thank you so much, Marcus. What
about the we're not getting these 3D experiences if you don't settle it down. So if you could single-handedly work on soothing the narrative, that would be fantastic. And then we can all just sit in front of our TVs with our friends and family, experiencing pretty much whatever it is that the greater creative minds have imprinted in their hardware as games in the cloud.
And just throw everything in there. Love it. Well, Marcus, thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for kind of expanding on what you were talking about in chat and elaborating. I appreciate it very much. This is the last part of the show. The floor is yours. What else? Anything you want to? Where can people find you? When are you going to do your Shades of Purple? What are you up to? What are you gaming? You called yourself a promiscuous gamer earlier. Floor is yours.
Well, I'd rather people didn't find me. I'd rather people didn't know me. But I did promise somebody that I would do 6 months of streaming to work on my acceptance of the camera. And, so I wouldn't get too excited. I'm probably not going to be around too long in the streaming space. However, if you do want to come along on Sunday to my Sunday series, we will be playing Purple's least favorite game of the year. We'll be playing Hellblade 2. We'll be playing on a 4090.
It's not
at
a game.
4K.
It's not a game. Not a game. But go ahead.
Well, it has quick time sequences. It has rhythm sections. It has sword play. I don't know. There's a few game things in there. Like in every chapter, there is a game section. Moving forwards, that's 9 o'clock UK time, and we're playing on an RTX 4090 in 4K HDR. So if you do want to watch this clunky early example of the future of interactive entertainment that I'm talking about, you are welcome to stick it on your best TV and see it as best as it can be. The problem is the ape controlling it lacks most of the skills to make it look wonderful. But apart from that, it's the 80-20 thing. It's 80% of the way there. You might just have to watch me die a little bit.
And if y'all caught anything there, he is talking about sword play in the game. Okay? And it is going to be a much more enjoyable experience for you to watch it if you understood what I said. I said it was fun for me to watch Hellblade 2. And you are so lucky because Internet of Games here is going to be the one that has to push the story along. And again, it's no Prince of Persia, but it should be a great time. So if you want to go check it out, that's Internet of Games, Sundays. We'll probably blast it out Sunday when he's streaming. Like I said, I should be around this week. So thank you so much.
And thank you. I mean, you'd have to apologize. It was just, it's late night. We're spitballing ideas here.
No, I love it. I'm so thank you for you hold uncompetitive. All y'all stay up so late. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you, Internet Games.
London out.
London. Y'all, that is Marcus G. Knight, Internet of Games. I'll pull him off, Marcus, to let you get some sleep. Thank you. And y'all, it's me and everything here. Thank you all so much for joining me. And thank you to Internet of Games and Uncompetitive for giving me so much information to think about with AI. And in Simpleton, we are going to try to get you that wafer that you want to wear. I think, is that what it is? I'm joking. But with that said, y'all, I will be doing my Fall Guys tournament on Sunday, awarding someone a winner. Hopefully it's Fast. Fast is kind of like our pseudo champion there, but hopefully he does that. And then after that I'll be playing some other games. But thank you all again. Everything here was just my opinion, as far as actually probably everything was my opinion. So with that said, I don't care where you game, how you game, why you game, what you game on. As long as you're gaming, you're good with me. And as always, this is Purple Haze, and the proof is in the plane. All right. Thank you all so much. Take care. Stay safe. And yeah, as long as you're playing, you're good with me. All right. Later.